Hi, and welcome to another episode of Rapid Fire Review, an airsoft gun review show brought to you by the people at PyramidAir.com. I'm your host, Barry Goodband.
And I'm Nick Miller, and today we're going to be reviewing the SIG Sauer X5 CO2 blowback pistol.
Okay, so when the package arrives at your home, you're going to get it open, you're going to find the gun itself, a 26-round double-stack magazine that also serves as the home for your CO2 powerlet, and an Allen wrench for opening and closing that CO2 well.
All right, and you're also going to find a well-translated manual and a spare cap for that magazine well.
All right, so we're going to take a closer look at some of the cool features on the SIG X5 here. The first thing we're going to talk about is the safety catch. It's located to the rear of the gun here, and it's accessible from either side with the thumb, and you just push it up and it's in the safe mode. Now when it's in a safe mode, that's going to disengage the trigger so that the trigger can't be pulled and it's not going to fire on you. It also functions as a slide lock, and it's not going to allow the slide to come back and be in a cocked position when it's in safe mode. We're going to take a look at the right side of the gun here. It's really nicely set up for a right-handed shooter. Everything is accessible with that right thumb, including your slide lock. As you can see right here, you can slide it back, lift up that slide lock, and it holds the slide perfectly in position. Also located on the right side is your magazine release and your takedown lever.
All right, now here on the top of the gun, we've got these great sights. You have the notch in the back and a single blade in the front. And the front side has this great white dot on it, so you can get a quicker target acquisition when you present the weapon.
Absolutely. And I also like the way the sights are molded right into the slide here. There are no screws or adjustments or things to back off or fall apart on you. And, you know, a sight adjustment just isn't necessary on an airsoft pistol like this.
Exactly. And touching a little bit more on ergonomics, you have this high beaver tail in the back and a little cutout here underneath the trigger. And what that's going to help you do is get your hand up higher on the gun, closer to the center bore of the barrel, and it's going to help you control recoil and handle the gun better.
Absolutely. It really is very, very comfortable in the hand. It has a nice feel and heft to it. I'm really looking forward to seeing how it performs.
Exactly. All right, and you've got these great cocking serrations here on the slide. They're really aggressive, so if you're wearing gloves, you can... and you know that you've chambered around and you're ready to get that gun into the fight. Under here or the frame, you've got this accessory rail where you can mount all sorts of flashlights or lasers or whatever you want to the gun.
Absolutely. That 5-inch barrel there gives you a little bit of extra room to play with. If you like lasers and sights and things of that nature, you can have a little bit of extra fun there.
Yeah. All right, so now that we've pretty much covered all the externals, I'm just going to show you real quick how to break this gun down and access the hop-up. First thing you're going to want to do is disengage the safety. You're going to run that slide back, lock it with a slide lock. You're going to take this takedown lever here, and you're going to rotate it down 90 degrees. Now the whole slide will come right off the rails of the lower receiver, which you can then set aside. And underneath here, you can see the hop-up wheel. If you dial it forward, that decreases the hop-up. If you dial it back, it increases the hop-up. All right, so now why don't we put this together?
All right. Another thing that I noticed about this gun is it's got a lot of cool trademarks on it. It's got the SIG Sauer trademark, the P226, and it really is a nice looking gun as well.
Exactly. Cybergun is a company that obtained the license to put these trademarks on it, and KJW is a company that manufactured the pistol. All right, so now that we've covered everything, Barry, why don't you go ahead and show us how to put a CO2 powerlet in that magazine.
All right, it'd be my pleasure. All right, so putting in a new powerlet, very simple process. Just going to take your magazine. You're going to find your opening here at the bottom of the chamber. Take off your cap with the Allen wrench that they provide for you. You're going to drop your CO2 pellet in, narrow end in the up position, and get your cap back on. Now you want to be careful with this cap not to cross thread it. You get it finger tight on there, and then use your wrench to take it all the way home and seat that CO2. Now, a simple cardinal rule to remember with this is tight is tight. Too tight is broke. You don't really want to go reefing on that thing really hard, because if you get it too tight, you're going to crush that O-ring here in the top of the magazine. You're going to have a malfunction and maybe be in the position of having to buy a whole new magazine.
Exactly.
All right, so with all that done, I think we're ready to take it over to the range and see how she performs.
Sounds good, Barry.
All right, let's go. All right, so we've got our range and chronograph equipment set up here, and we're going to put the SIG Sauer X5 through her paces.
All right, now we've already got a CO2 powerlet loaded into the magazine. I just want to show you how to load the BBs into it. Now today we're using 0.2 gram BBs, and as you can see there isn't a hole in the bottom of the magazine where you can just pull down the follower and dump in rounds. What you have to do is put them in through the feed lips at the top of the magazine one by one. And it isn't a huge deal, but you just want to make sure that you get your stack correct, otherwise you're going to have some misfeeds later on down the road.
All right, let's see what kind of numbers we get from her.
All right, sounds good. .360, 344, 328, 331, and 331. Now those numbers are indicative of the gas pressures dropping inside the magazine. When you release some gas, it tends to cool down a little bit, and that's why you see that lowered FPS as it goes along.
Yeah, I think this gun is going to generally run right there in that 330 range.
Yeah, which is really respectable.
Absolutely it is.
Yeah.
All right. We'll put her on safe here and hand her over. Thank you. Just take her down range and see what kind of accuracy we got.
Sounds good.
Not bad.
Not bad.
Not bad.
I kind of got a little wobbly there.
That's all right. Your last four were pretty consistent, and they're all right inside that center ring there.
Yeah, I'm pretty impressed with that. I mean, that's a man-sized target at 30 feet, so, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely a skirmishable gun.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's take it back over and give our final thoughts.
Sounds good.
All right.
All right, now that we're back here from the range, Barry, why don't you give us your final thoughts on the SIG Sauer X5?
Well, if you followed this show at all, you've heard me say it a dozen times before. Reliability is the name of the game in CO2 guns, airsoft guns, whatever kind of shooting sport you're into. If you take a weapon out and present it to a target, when you pull the trigger, you're going to want to make sure it goes off every single time. And CO2 guns deliver that, especially over that of propane or green gas or even AEGs a lot of the time, especially, as I've said before, in this upstate New York climate where it gets cold half of the year and we play all the way through. Reliability is definitely the name of the game around here. And also, I really appreciate the looks on this gun. It's got a lot of really nice looking trades. It's a nice looking gun overall, and you touched a lot on the ergonomics and the comfort and the feel of it overall. Really, just overall a nice gun.
Yeah, exactly. And like you said, with ergonomics, it really is a comfortable gun to operate. I mean, you know, as a right-handed shooter, I really appreciate that all the fire controls are accessible by one hand. I can, you know, drop a magazine if I need to put in a fresh source, or if the slide is locked back, I can access the slide lock and send that slide home, or if I need to put it in safe, it's right there. Everything is right there on my one hand. I don't have to worry about fumbling around or whatever. It's all really comfortable, you know? It's a great gun, and I really enjoy shooting it. It's a blast to shoot.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of fun. And very, very consistent at that target we had out there at 30 feet. Put a nice group down.
Accurate. Yep. Accurate shooting.
All right. Well, I think that's all the time they gave us for this piece, but we'll be back in the near future, so keep your eyes open for another cool gun from PyramidAir.com. Until then, I'm your host, Barry Goodband.
And I'm Nick Miller. And remember, if you've got any questions whatsoever, feel free to email us at rapidfirereview@PyramidAir.com.
And before we go, fellas, I just want to remind you, always remember, airsoft guns are realistic copies of actual firearms, so always play safely and responsibly. And we'll see you guys out there in the field.
Do not remove the federally required orange marking from your gun. Treat airsoft guns the same as firearms. Assume a gun is loaded, even if you know it's unloaded. Never shoot at someone who isn't wearing proper eye protection. Never brandish your gun in public, and always transport it in a case. Do not point an airsoft gun at anyone as a joke. Keep your finger off the trigger until you're ready to shoot. Do not use airsoft guns to shoot at, discipline, or injure animals. Know the laws regarding airsoft guns and their use.